everyone, and welcome back to the Battle Union News for Week 3, I believe. I've returned. I'm back from the void in which I was taken into for last week, where Shroom had to go by his own. Speaking of our favorite fun guy, what's up, Shroom?
Yes, I'm also here. Hello, everyone. Shroomer over here. And yeah, as Chaos said, Week 3 of the Battle Union. Good to have you back, Chaos. Obviously, you had a good time doing things and stuff in the void.
Oh yeah, it was great.
We do all enjoy a trip to the void now and then. Just to spice up life,
yeah,
really.
it's always nice and voidy this time of year.
Yes, indeed it is. But out of the void, it is time to talk about some battles. That is what we are here for. So, without further ado, let's crack right on with the first battle of the Battle Union Week 3, and that saw Baby Eye, Sinister Sableye, and the St. Louis Chatots taking on Slyro and Pittsburgh Pyroar. Now, this...
I'm sorry, every time you say Sly and the Pittsburgh Pyroar, I'm just inclined to sigh because he's been letting me down consistently this season.
He has. He's been letting us all down. Sly, come on now. He has let down Chaos here with a 1-0 loss to Baby Eye. So, quick check over some of the team choices. You know, Baby Eye brought fairly standard .jpeg stuff. Toxic over Willow on Heatran was nice. I liked that. More useful versus the likes of P2, because if you do not get Toxic onto P2, it will not die. That is a simple fact of life.
Even when you do get Toxic onto P2, sometimes it still just doesn't die.
Yes, this is true. You know, some of the things that we can all know that happen in the world. The sun rises and sets. We're all going to die eventually, unless we are called P2, because of course P2 doesn't die. Dual State Scramble was nice. I like the thinking, Baby Eye. His sort of mantra here: always have at least one offensive move. Yes, seen far too many taunt bait Skarmories going around. It's always nice to be able to attack at some point. Now, Sly, he predicted his opponent's team very well, and I accept your Flygon apology, Sly. This once, because it's you, I will accept your Flygon apology. Last time, of course, he didn't bring U-Turn on Flygon, which was a mistake, because it's a Flygon. This time he did. He brought Scarf Flygon with U-Turn, which is what it's supposed to do. Hidden Power Ice on Mega Venusaur over Hidden Power Rock. I see the reasoning. You know, he wants to hit the Haxorus super effectively, and apparently he wants to hit the Sand Slash with Hidden Power Ice. You're a Mega Venusaur. You have Giga Drain. Yeah, don't necessarily need Hidden Power Ice for that. I'd still prefer to see Hidden Power Rock because Haxorus probably loses to it anyway, and he wasn't quite expecting it. And yeah, other than that, nice Manaphy builds, optimize speed and reflect, pretty cool.
What was Hidden Power Rock was for Mega Pinsir switch-in, I assume?
No, he didn't pack Hidden Power Rock.
No, if he had.
Yes, Hidden Power Rock would have been super nice for the Mega Pinsir.
I was just wondering if it was anything other than Mega Pinsir.
There's a few things that it hits super effectively. Other than that, Ice hits most of them as well, I think.
All right, I was just curious. I just got back from my trip, and also I did not have a lot of time to look over these matches, and I definitely had no time to look over the team builders, so I might ask a few more questions than normal. But anyways,
very well.
Sly brought the almighty, like what is without a doubt the best Fire, Water, Grass Core. He brought the whole squad with P2 and Amistar, and still lost 1-0. I'm just upset, man. I was rooting for. There were two people I was rooting for in this season. And that was Trip and Sly. And Trip's holding strong, but Sly's been letting me down. He's been dropping the ball.
He has. I mean, the first turn prediction from Baby Eye allows him to paralyze the Venusaur, which, you know, it's not game changing. It was nice to see though. I've written down P2 is gross like 3 times. Because it is. But Sly, there was a few things I thought he did a bit questionably, and I know he's picked up on them himself as well, but we're going to say them anyway because we can.
Because we can make him feel worse than he already does, so we're going to.
We can. That's basically our job. He allows the Hooper to burn its sleep turns without actually threatening it too much. But Manaphy Shadow Ball doesn't KO. Some great team building and EVing on the part of Baby Eye. And then he pulls out the Scarf D-Bomb to take down Manaphy. Absolutely no problem. Really good trade-off for him there. And hey Sly, remember how you don't know how to use Mega Pinsir? Watch this battle again, because that's how you do it. That's how you use a Mega Pinsir.
Some advice to give to not just Slyro, because he recognized it already, but to everyone. But to everyone, not about the Mega Pinsir. Like, not that. You're completely pointless in this little tangent. But for everyone to notice that Sly picked up on, Sly said very, very upsettedly when it happened that he didn't even know Hoopa got debond. He didn't know a lot about Hoopa. If you're going up against someone in League format and you don't know a lot about one or two of their mons, I recommend just like typing it in and then putting Smogon and going to Smogon's list and reading the entire moveset. Like,
Yeah.
not Pokemon normally don't have more than like what 40 to 50 moves of their moveset total, like that they can possibly learn. So it's not going to take you long to look over and be like, okay, so it can have this or this, so I need to be worried that it could possibly be packing D-Bond or Energy Ball or some other move I didn't know it got.
Yeah,
So,
especially with these mons like Hooper who haven't been around the draft format for all that long. You know, there's going to be some stuff that you don't necessarily expect or think they're going to get. Always best to do that
except
kind
for
of
Volcanion,
research.
because all it
Yes.
learns is Steam Eruption. Like, it's like Smeargle with Sketch, it learns Steam Eruption again every 10 levels. That's all it does.
This is true. Indeed. We're going to see some interesting stuff about Volcanion later on, but as we say, that is for later on.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
What just happened? Oh, sorry. There was a beeping. I'm sorry that happened, everyone. It's not going to happen again.
Oh God, what beeping?
I stopped
Beeping's
it.
bad.
Yeah, I stopped it. It's okay. We're good now. But we need to move on.
Yes, we do. That was just a pretty good game overall. Nothing too much more to report on that game. It was a close one, as we would expect it to be, but you know, Baby I managed to pull the win out. Yeah, not too much more to say on that one, as I say. So we'll move on to the second game, I think. To Alex and AS Monferno taking on Quill and Juventes. This was going to be a good one. Two fairly highly ranked teams. A 3-0 victory for the as yet unbeaten Quill, which was cool for him. Now, teams, Alex, that's a choice band Sneasel, and that's a choice banded Tyrantrum. Double choice band core, we like it because power. Now, it was a good-looking team. My one thing with Alex was really, where is Blaziken on this team? Blaziken can run through Quill's team. You damage the Feraligatr, you damage the Druds, you get rocks up, and Blaziken has the potential to just win. So I was very surprised not to see it, especially on such a super-duper hyper-offense team. Now, he kind of gets messed up by Sticky Web. He doesn't bring any removal. He relies entirely on beat-up Sneasel turn 1, which would have been great, except Quill brought Scarfed Galvantula.
That was glorious.
And the thing is, like, Scarfed Galvantula, he would have brought it for a reason. I don't think that was his reasoning, so he kind of unknowingly, possibly, completely destroys Alex's anti-Sticky Web plan. Swords Dance Gator is OW, and pretty much everything else on Quill's team was kind of fairly standardish. They just do what they do, and they do it well. Yeah, on the battle, turn 1, Alex's plan just goes down the toilet. And I've got written here, because he said, you know, he's Scarfed, so I know he's not going to bring Scarf Sticky Web. Yeah, he did. Bring back Swagnet.
Does Alex, like, play Pokemon?
Occasionally, he has
because,
been known
like,
to
Scarf
partake.
Hazard Setters is a common thing. Garchomp,
Yeah.
Tyrantrum, or just like Scarf Stealth Rockers, to name two off the top of my head that I've personally used multiple times, either on the ladder or in draft. Like, that's not an unusual thing, especially on a, like, Galvantula really only needs like 3 moves that it can normally run well. Like, it gets Bug Buzz, Thunder, and then Giga Drain. That leaves a fourth, unless you're going to have a Hidden Power Ice or something, or if you don't need Giga Drain, that leaves you a slot for something like Sticky Webs.
Yeah. I guess it's more common to see Scarfed Rocks, potentially. But yeah, it's something that possibly should have been considered. It didn't actually come into play, because I don't think Sticky Web was ever got up at any point.
I don't think so.
But,
he didn't need it.
Yeah.
He had Sand Rush instead.
You know, Alex was putting on early pressure with Sylveon quite well. You know, he knows how to use Sylveon very effectively, give it specs and hit things. But yeah, he uses Sylveon well. But he sacks Megalatias rather, for the tailwind that he didn't really need at that stage. Quill's rocks are a problem. You know, Alex doesn't allow webs to be gotten up at all. He takes out the Galvantula. But then we see this over-prediction with Lantern versus Excadrill. Predicting the over-prediction. There was a lot of those kind of mind games going on. And that kind of costs him the game, because Quill, at this point, he can just set up the sand, he can sack T-Tar, and then he just sweeps with Excadrill, who is absolutely killing it in the MVP race right now.
What is it at in the MVP race?
9-0.
Ooh, that's good.
From 3 games.
For 3, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, as we know, you know, sand is a major force in the format. You know, it started out when people were looking at rain, but now sand is very much the premier weather. And yeah, Quill's making the most of it. And yeah, he remains unbeaten. He's one of the guys to beat at this time.
Can't wait for Gen 7 to introduce some crazy new ice mechanic so that hail becomes the new premier weather.
Oh, fantastic.
That's what I want. That's what I
That
want in
would
my
be
life. I
fantastic.
want Hail to get buffed. That would
It
be
would be
great.
good to see.
But anyways,
The unloved weather.
that's something for a different kind of video. Let's continue on.
Yes, it is. So with that game out of the way, we'll move on to the third one. That saw Jedi Cardet and the Western Weezings taking on the Meath Mamoswines and Potato Jim. Two teams at this point who I believe were yet to get their first win. And this resulted in a resounding 5-0 for Jim and Meath Mamoswines. Jedi, team building, straight up offensive Latias is a good way to go. Custa Aromatisse was interesting. It was a nice idea. I believe his plan was to kind of take on the Pangoro with it. And yeah, he was basically saying he wants to be able to get that cost up off, take massive damage from Pangoro, get a wish up, and then go for a Moonblast and take it out. And I believe he said at the time, just as long as it isn't AV. And what does Jim do? He brings AV. So it wouldn't have worked, unfortunately. Jim's team, Modest, Scarfed, Hyper Beam, PZ. We like this.
All kinds of dead. 98 flavors, kinds of dead. I'm pretty...
So many different kinds of dead.
I'm going to do a calc while you continue talking.
I like it. Okay. So we've got Sub-Carmine Florges. It's here. Aromatisse is very much set up fodder. There's no Fairy Resist for Jedi. Durant's still on the bench. Yeah, AV Pangoro, no point investing in speed. It doesn't outspeed anything because it is a panda. And yeah, Jim was pretty much nearly bang on with team predictions, so well built by him. In the battle, the opening goes exactly as Jim wants. You know, Mesprit gets damage on Mega Absol, PZ comes in, and 2-hit KOs and Aromatisse with Tri-Attack. So there's that. That happened.
Do we know if the PZ was timid or modest?
It was modest.
Okay. Continue on.
Yeah, basically it was the PZ show. Whenever PZ comes in, something's going down. Absol comes so close to KOing Shaman with an unexpected Mega Horn. But it doesn't. Florges kind of does its thing a little bit. And then Aerodactyl was so close to doing damage to Mega Aggron. But it really didn't. And then you can see Jedi going for the cheeky freeze. He can't quite get it. And then Jim, in spectacular fashion, finishing off the game with a very classy Hyper Beam final KO, which he showed us twice because it was nice. #bars. Yeah, Jim gets his first win, and it looks like he's really starting to find his feet with this team, which is good to see. Jedi still looking for that first win, but, you know, this is Jedi. He's got ideas. He's using some mons quite well, I guess. Jinx didn't show up in this game, I don't think, but he's using that quite well. And he's got nice ideas. He always does. Just sometimes the execution isn't always there, but hopefully we'll see some stuff coming from him. It'll be nice to see him get his first win. How are we doing with that calc? What was the calc for?
Okay, so max HP Latias with no Spadef, but with max HP takes 84 min from Hyper Beam.
Oof. Ouch.
That's base 130 Spadef, base 80 HP, 252 HP. It takes 84 min.
Is that with the adaptability boost?
Yes.
Ah, that's power.
Rocks, and it's like a 70% chance to Oko a Latias, which is like one of the premier Spadef mons.
Yeah. That's straight power.
And if it does that much to Latias, then every single other thing that was brought was O-code, undoubtedly.
Yeah, I mean, apart from the Aromatisse, which wasn't a switch-in, because it got 2-code by Tri-Attack. Actually, yeah, it got 2-hit code by Tri-Attack, so yeah, Hyper Beam would have done a lot more. Well, there we go.
If it was max HP, no Spadef, it took 102 min from the Hyper Beam.
Oof. I think it was a mixed defensive Aromatisse.
It was mixed. Let's assume that it's 252 without the Spadef nature. 80 min.
Oof. Damn. Hyper Beam PZ is the way to go.
I love it. I love it.
Yep. Good stuff for Jim for his first win. So with that, moving from 1-5-0 to the next, as we look at our next game, Just Weevil and the Wolverhampton Weevils taking on defending champion Trip and the Dallas Staravias, and it was indeed Trip who takes that 5-0 victory. Now, Jack, Just Weevil, Rock Polish Aggron with all of the power was nice to see. Now, Zen Headbutt on the Mega Metacham. He bought Fake Out Bullet Punch, Drain Punch, I think.
That's
or maybe
not high jump kick.
And Zen Headbutt. I'm just not sure there was any particular need for the Zen Headbutt on this one. You know, I think he could have got away with running a mono fighting attack with maybe like a sub, or potentially even a toxic. You know, we've seen toxic on these big hitters. And if he was running, for example, sub toxic, maybe getting rid of one of his priority moves, he can sub up on the switch into Mew and get toxic off without really fearing it. That was just an idea I thought, but still, dual stab Mega Medicham hits damn hard. And then my last note for him is just brings the T wave. He knows. He knows how to try and beat Trip. Just paralyze everything. We've
Yeah,
seen it happen before.
I don't know if Trip had another Mon that was like a potential bring, but everything that he did bring was either neutral or weak to both fighting and psychic, or resisted both. So there is literally no reason for Zen Headbutt over Drain Punch any day of the week.
Fair enough. Looking at Trip's team now, he brings the Mirror Coat Avalugg. Now, when I was looking at the team matchup, I was just thinking, I don't know about this Trip. I didn't know if it had the matchup. It's a nice idea to deal with the Slowking, because Slowking is one of the few things standing in the way of Trip's offense. You know, the likes of Megalopony and Curum. Slowking can deal with one of them, probably. Maybe both, depending on the spread. But, he was banking on that as being his way of dealing with Slowking. I thought, that's unreliable. I don't know about that. Toxic trapping Entei with Sun support. I just... Yes. Trip. Just yes. Absolutely love that set. This is Sunny Day Entei with Toxic and Fire Spin, along with the very obvious Sacred Fire. Absolutely love it. I'm a huge fan of offensive trapping, or rather, sort of like Toxic Stall trapping, any of this kind of stuff. I'm a big fan of the move Infestation. He's using it with Fire Spin here. Absolutely love it. Great set. And then this is the one I really wanted to go into detail on. Scarfed Rock Tomb Curum for Volcarona is actually really, really clever. Because he doesn't need to hit it on the special side versus Quiver setup. It negates the speed raise from Quiver setup, and it keeps outpacing with the Scarf. So, just really, really clever idea. Really liked seeing that. It was fantastic. Then we get into the battle, and, well, stone me and make me eat my words, because Mirror Coat to take out Slowking works turn 1.
That was great. That was great.
Fair enough. I hold my hands up and say fair enough. Slowking goes down turn 1, and that must have been such a kick to the teeth for Jack. You know, he tries to come back from it. He is making the big boy play, switching Venusaur into Entei's Toxic, which was ballsy. It might have been a sack play at that point, but it was a big boy play because it seemed to work. But he was really suffering from the lack of Slowking, you could tell. And then we move on. Rock Tomb Curum versus Volcarona works absolutely perfectly. Trip saves Mew very well for Mega Medicham. He knows that that's a defensive win con for him versus the Mega Medi. And this is basically just one of those games where everything Trip planned for happened exactly as he wanted. It's rare that those games come along, but when they do, you take advantage of them and you just enjoy them. And I'm sure Trip would have done that. A tough loss for Jack to take, but, he was facing off against a custom-built team for this exact matchup where everything went right. I think there was too much more he could have done, to be honest. It was just very well played by Trip in the end.
It was ridiculous how Trip literally... It was like he played the game, went back in time, and then told himself how to play the game. Yeah, it was insane.
He absolutely dictated pretty much everything that went on.
Profit Trip.
Yeah, there was very little Jack could do to get out of a rut in this one. Just got to chalk that one up to going against a really well-prepped team. Dust yourself off and look to the next one. That was just... everything happened according to Trip's design. Very well played. This is why he's the defending champion. So yeah, with that, we'll move on, I think, to the next game. Now, Mono, Tampa Bay Luxrays versus Daneki St. Louis Sableyes. Game resulted in a 4-0 victory for the Tampa Bay Luxrays. Mono, Custom Explosion, always nice. We like that on the Diancie. He notes that Hitmontop is benched. He notes that Salamence is his opponent's only form of hazard removal. I was surprised to see him not bring more hazards. He doesn't bring spikes. He brings rocks, but he doesn't bring spikes. And I was sort of thinking, maybe he could have brought spikes, but he's okay with it. He brings a Crest to beat Megarodon and a Car Mind War because he's a bad person. And then, are we good? We still good?
What do you mean?
Sorry, I had vague internet problems, but it seems to be okay.
No, everything's been fine.
Good stuff. Right. Yeah. I was triggered by Hidden Power Electric for Gyarados because I always am. And then Expert Belt. I like to go into detail on Expert Belts. This time on Kyurem Black, good. Only thing it doesn't hit for extra Expert Belt damage is the Excelgor, but Excelgor dies if it's caught in a light breeze, so I'm okay with it. Dan, well predicted on his opponent's part. You know, he predicted his team very well. Brings Sub Nasty Plot Thunderous Incarnate, which is ow. Cool to see offensive Regirock. And then I've got Can't Take Out the Crest, Guarantee the Crit with Honchkrow. Because
Easy.
he brought all of the crit increasing stuff with Honchkrow. He was just, I think, lacking focus energy, really. He had the crit item, he had the high crit moves, he had the super luck, and he had the Hydro Pump Salamence, which was cool. In the battle, Diancie goes down early, but he gets Rocks Up and he gets Greninja's Sash broken, which is what he wants.
Shroom? Shroom just died, so... Okay, we fixed Shroom. He's not dead anymore. Would you like to continue, Shroom?
Yes, sorry about that. Technical difficulties. We were talking about the battle of Mono versus Dan, and the start of it. Diancie goes down early for Mono, but it gets Rocks Up and breaks Greninja's Sash. Dan makes the nice prediction of the Protect on Scolipede to get up his secondary spikes, but Mono doesn't really care about that. Dan, again, another big boy play. Staying with Regirock versus Mega Blastoise. You know, he's an Assault Vest Regirock. He can probably take a hit. I guess maybe predicting the spin. And then we see Nasty Plot Thunderous nearly Oko a Cresselia, which was nice with the Dark Pulse, and he gets the Dark Pulse flinch. So, you know, screw you, Cresselia. It's always nice to see
That's what you get for running Cresselia. That's not even hacks. That's called justice.
Yes, yes it is. Then we see Mega Blastoise showing why people love it now. You know, it absolutely tanks a Dragon Claw from low health, KOs Salamence. And then Kyurem Black just goes in at the end. We saw a bit of a wobble going for Earth Power versus what turned out to be Assault Vest Regirock. But it didn't matter in the end game. You know, Mono maintains his differential very well and takes a really useful 4-0 victory.
Indeed he did.
Oh yeah, not much to say on that one. I think that was one of the ones that you didn't have too much time for.
No, there were two matches that I just did not have time to watch, and that was this one and then another one we haven't talked about yet.
I think it might be the next one indeed, so I think we'll move on to that one after a good win for Mono. We move on to Skyrander and the Gothenburg Garchomps taking on Xenon and the Sublime Salamence.
This is the other one I couldn't watch, yeah.
Yes, the two Dragon Brothers going at it in this battle. 3-0 victory for the Gothenburg Garchomps. So, Skyrander, very interesting Volcanion set, mixed Expert Belt with Flame Charge. Expert Belt is a good decision here, I think. You know, it doesn't hit...
Wait. Volcanion gets Flame Charge?
Yes, it does.
This is the best Pokemon in the meta.
It was a mainly physical set here. It was packing Steam Eruption, but I think it was packing Earthquake and Superpower, which was cool. You know, cool set. You know, he doesn't hit 3 of his opponent's mons, but Steam Eruption will damage some of them, unless the Hariyama and the Taunty are like Assault Vest, and the Yama is Guts, and Rotom is a Rotom, so it'll probably die. Yeah, Modest Agility Thunderous Therian is great, and then Rock Polish Donphan is here. We have all the setup from Sky, as we know he likes to do, but this time it was mainly speed-based, so that was a cool difference to his usual offensive style of setup. Now Xenon brings the triple Assault Vest core of Hariyama, Tornadus Therian, and Tentacle. He is so prepped for specially offensive Volcanion, sorry.
Same difference.
He's so prepped for specially offensive Volcanion, which is important to note. But that wasn't what came along. Habanberry Hydreigon with Torment was cool. And then, here's an interesting one for you, Chaos. Hypnosis Ninetales.
What?
Hypnosis Nasty Plot Salakberry Ninetales. Was interesting. It was very interesting indeed.
No, stop. It's stupid. Don't try and sugarcoat that. That's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard you tell me.
And it had a Heat Wave and Hidden Power Ground. He had lots of fire coverage. But I feel like he didn't have enough offensive pressure on Volcanion on this team when I looked at it. You've got Earthquake Hariyama, you've got Hidden Power Ground Ninetales, could be at +2, and he's got a Rotom with Stab Thunderbolt. But a plan to Hypnosis a Volcanion and then set up in Hidden Power Grounder is unreliable at best.
A plan to use Hypnosis at all is unreliable, and then is even worse when it's compounded by using Hypnosis on a Mon that is as bad as Ninetales. Like
It seems like you have
if it
quite
had
strong
been,
views on Ninetales.
if it was Gengar, then it would make at least a little more sense. But Ninetales, even with the +2, Ninetales is still garbage.
Well, we'll have to see if Ninetales can do anything in the battle. So let's see if it could. Sky stays in turn one with Donphan on a Tentacruel, which was ballsy. But other than that, both made fairly low risk early plays. And then we see a Xenon bring in his Hariyama and make a series of incredible plays. So he switches the Hariyama into Gardevoir to take a Moonblast. He doesn't take it well, but he takes it because he's Assault Vest. So Sky is predicting the. Sorry, go on.
Wait, did you just say he switched Hariyama into Gardevoir?
Yes, he did.
Those are on opposite teams.
Yeah, he switched the Hariyama into a Moonblast
into the
from
Gardevoir. You said he switched Hariyama to Gardevoir. Okay, never mind.
Oh, did I? My bad.
Or I misheard you, one or the other. But I also just saw that Sky misspelled Gardevoir as well, so I'm going to have to ask that Sky stop existing. He misspelled Thunderous T on the sheet, and he misspelled Gardevoir. Like, I'm about at my wit's end with this person.
Oh dear. Well, getting onto this series of plays from Xenon. So in comes the Hariyama into the Gardevoir's Moonblast. Now Sky's predicting Bullet Punch, so he switches into Heracross as Hariyama just like nope, Fire Punch, and nails the Heracross for big damage. Now Sky over predicts and goes for knockoff, predicting the switch, but Hariyama goes for Bullet Punch as Sky goes for the knockoff. And then Sky decides he does want to save Heracross because another Bullet Punch will KO it. He switches in the Volcanion as Hariyama goes for Earthquake. So, this brilliant series of plays with Xenon's Hariyama getting big damage on a lot of his opponent's Pokemon. So well played.
Are we sure that this was like a brilliant set of plays and not Xenon misclicking a lot or just pressing buttons and hoped it worked?
I trust in Xenon. He's got good pedigree. Not necessarily in the format. He's not had too many seasons, but he's got good pedigree in competitive mons, and he's a good predictor. I like those series of plays. Volcanion, it goes down eventually, but not before it has shifted some of the momentum Sky's way by getting big damage onto Xenon's team. And then we see towards the end game the big play. Donphan is in versus Tentacruel, goes for the Rock Polish as Tentacruel I think was just looking to be sacked. But he goes for Rock Polish, and then Rock Polish Donphan just gets 3 KOs, and suddenly it's all with Sky. Interesting decision to trace Regenerator onto Gardevoir to try and get it back in. That was nice from who has it? Yeah, from Sky.
Are you okay? There you go.
So I'm all over the place.
I was confused as well. I was like, what are you trying to say?
Yeah, I was a bit confused myself. I liked tracing Regenerator onto Gardevoir to try and get it back some more health. That was cool. But then Ninetales gets a KO. Just thought I'd drop that one in there. Ninetales got a KO.
What did it kill?
I can't remember. It killed something. It might have been the Donphan. No, it can't have been the Donphan. It killed something with a Heat Wave. But it was too little too late, Sky does take a great game with this one. Xenon made some fantastic plays, I think. Nice to see Ninetales get the KO. Xenon, I do apologise. I did watch the battles from both sides. I just can't remember off the top of my head right now who Ninetales got the KO on.
I feel like it was probably Scizor, and so it doesn't mean much.
Yeah, I feel like it could have been.
I highly doubt it took out Volcanion or Donphan, and the only other thing that went down was Scizor. So yeah, a fire type killing Scizor. Yeah, that's really impressive.
I mean, yeah, I think the most impressive side of Xenon's play was his use of Hariyama. But it was a good game. It was good fun to watch, and Sky takes a very useful victory.
We need to move on. We're way over.
Yes, we do. We shall move on then to the penultimate game, and that saw the Somerset Sizzles and Sizzlesome taking on Bub's Munchlaxter United. Now, this did result in a big 4-0 for Munchlaxter United. So, quick look at the team. Sizz, very well predicted. Got 5 out of 6 of his opponent's team right. Items and sets were all good. Channeling his inner Gabe there, I think. Toxic on the Mega Scizor, we like that. Bub has stuff that walls it, and as I said earlier, Toxic on these offensive threats is usually a nice idea. Assault Vest, Focus Punch, Physical Goodra, Sizz, marry me. I love it. What do we think of that, Chaos? What do we think? Assault Vest, Focus Punch, Goodra.
Did it do anything?
No.
Okay, you can be as ballsy as you want, but unless it does something, then I don't care.
The Gudra did something. Focus Punch unfortunately didn't.
Then it doesn't matter. Like, anyone can bring an amazing sounding
Mm.
set, but unless it works, then it don't mean jack.
Yeah, this is true. And speaking of that, we have another expert belt user in Mamoswine. This time, I don't think it was the right decision. He only hits 4 out of his opponent's 9 mons, and he doesn't really need the boost for, any of them. Infinite, Whimsicott, Crocodile, and Dragalge were the things it hits.
Well, those things die anyway.
Yeah, I mean, apart from maybe picking things off with an Ice Shard, for which you can use a Life Orb anyway, I just think maybe Life Orb would have been a better bet here. On Bub's side, again, well predicted. 5 out of 6 predictions were correct. Roast and Wash pretty much there as a nice counter-ish to Azumarill, especially a Belly Drum set. It would have been able to counter that quite well. Impish counter Escavalier was cool with Iron Defense. Interesting set. I don't think it got to do too much, but it wasn't a drain on his resources. So yeah, cool idea. And this time he does pack Fire Punch and Mega Gallade. Good decision. Yeah, some cool teams. In the battle, I feel like it was a nervous start by both of them. But then Rizz does settle in with Torkoal, and he manages to get some predictions right, brings it back out on the double to Skarm to keep his rocks up. Good play there. Gudra did put offensive pressure on, unfortunately, albeit without Focus Punch. But Bub was able to get in his Infinite for quite big damage, and he does get a paralysis on the Azumarill at some point as well. Good support from Uxie, and Torkoal putting in work for Rizz, so nice defensive work on both sides. But the problem was for Rizz was I think he was only packing offensively Lava Plume. So whenever his Torkoal comes in, his opponent, Bub, can just bring in Infinite and set up a substitute and put huge offensive pressure on. He was able to decimate the Mamoswine, and really there wasn't too much more to say. Rizz found it difficult, I think, to deal with sub-Infinite. He was trying to get back differential with Licky Licky and Torkoal versus 5 Mons. And I think actually he used Torkoal well. He got 2 KOs with it. The 2 KOs he got were with Torkoal. So he used it well. People raised eyebrows when he picked it for a second time, but it seems to be doing a decent enough job for him. So well played for him on that part. But unfortunately, it was a bit too little too late. And I think, yeah, sub-Infinite was really just a thorn in his side that he didn't have an enormous amount to deal with. So a 4-0 loss to Rizz. Good win for Bub, but promising signs from Rizz on certain parts there, I think.
Yeah, it was a really good match. The sub Infernate did wonderfully.
Yeah.
And it was definitely not good on Sizz's end to only have Lava Plume to attack when the opponent has an Infernate.
Yeah.
But, it happens, so this was the result.
It does. Sometimes there's just that one threat that you suddenly look at, and as the game goes on, you think, I don't have anything for this. And unfortunately, behind a sub, he just didn't have too much to deal with it, unfortunately. But yeah, one mistake can really put the game in someone else's favour, but it's a learning process, and Rizz will take that into account from now on. I know that. As I've said before, he's a quick learner. He'll see his mistakes. He knows the mistakes that he makes, and he always does his best to act on them, which is healthy to see. So, with that, on to the final game of the week. Now, this saw Eric and the Bristol Beedoofs take on Rizz and the Phoenix Sunflorers. And we see a 2-0 victory for Rizz. Eric takes his first loss of the season.
What is a Nidoqueen? How does it function?
That is the big question that Eric will have been scratching his head asking himself. His team was nice. I liked Trick Scarf Chandelure. A lot of the things that are going to be switching into Chandelure, you're looking at Clefable, you're looking at Suicune and Snorlax. Scarf on any of them can be nice to really cripple what they want to do in the form of defensive setup. And he said himself, it was the only thing he really had for a sweeping Lucario. Now, Lucario didn't show up, but it was nice to have Shandy in the back for that. I wasn't sure about Endure-Reversal Hitmonlee for this match. I love the set. Don't get me wrong, I do. But I didn't like it necessarily in this match. You've got things that wall it out. Mega Lati, I know he said it can do massive damage to it, but it's not enough. It's certainly a check, if anything. Unaware Clefable, possibly the Suicune. As I say, if not counter, these can check it. And I think he had too many checks for that set. Also, you've got potential potential Prankster Tailwind Tornadus, which can set up for the Revenge. On the other hand, cool stuff with offensive Speedy Fortress. Love it. Awesome stuff. I'm a big fan of offensive speedy Fortress. And some speed on Reuniclus for surprise outpacing, which was nice. Rizz. Rizz, I think, maybe over-prepped for Mega Altaria, which didn't show up. A lot of poison offense on his team. Fairly standard sets for the most part. They all do a good job against the perceived major threats. Mixed Sash Houndoom was quite cool, and Choice Band Snorlax. Always nice to see the Choice Band Snorlax. Pursuit is a nice addition, and of course it has Explosion. I mean, the battle starts okay for Eric. He's able to get a hazard. He's able to get Hazard up. He's able to get big damage on the Houndoom. Houndoom, of course, was sashed, so it lives the Earthquake from the Fortress, which was nice to see. He scouts the Sucker Punch well, allows himself to get up another layer of hazards, or rather a layer of hazards, which was nice. Then we see the first misplay, and Eric really pointed out his own misplays. He lets Chandelure stay in on the Snorlax switch and gets Pursuit trapped and just dies. And that's the end of Chandelure, which is unfortunate. His Scarfer is gone. Zapdos misses a Heat Wave on Rachi. That's not Eric's fault. It's just unfortunate.
No, it's Eric's fault.
Oh, of course. Sorry, Eric, it is your fault. What are you doing? Come on, man.
Train in the mountains more, you failure.
Exactly. It's just selfish of you on behalf of those Zapdos.
If Shroom and I can both go the same season, with Tyrantrum and not miss any head smashes, then you can go a season without missing Heat Wave. Like, come on.
This is very true. Come on, Eric. Get it together. But if that was his fault, then the next part certainly was a little bit. He starts to misplay quite badly around the aforementioned Nidoqueen. He sort of switches around a bit around it and lets a lot of things take damage. And then he has to lose Zapdos, and he can't take out Nidoqueen with Earthquake Hitmonlee because of a Shucker Berry. So Nidoqueen puts a massive, massive dent in his team, and then at the end, Clefable is able to set up on Reuniclus. He can't two-hit KO with the Psyshock. Clefable can just set up the Calm Minds, heal itself up, and just do what Clefable does. Now he makes a last-gasp effort, Eric, to get rid of this perceived threat of set-up Clefable. He switches in Milotic to Haze on the predicted Moonlight, but unfortunately, Rizz is one step ahead. He attacks on that turn and takes out Milotic, and that's basically the game. There's nothing more Eric could have done at that point. The damage was done with the Nidoqueen, and Chandelure getting Pursuit trapped, and that was it. A 2-0 victory for Rizz.
Eric's Bidoof is starting up again. Let's see if he continues on for like the next 3 matches.
Yeah. He's Bidoofed a little bit earlier in the season than last time. We'll have to see. I don't think he'll let it affect him too much. He's not one to get easily flustered. He made a bit of a mistake here. He knows it. He takes it on board, and you can bet your life he doesn't want to make those mistakes again.
All right. Well, anything else to say?
No, I don't think so. So those are the matches that happened. But of course, now it is time to see where we are going to rank our coaches, our managers, and Chaos is going to take us through that. Now, we should say before we get into this was a very difficult week to do. Reason being,
these people have no consideration for analysts.
They don't. It's very selfish, really. What we saw was a lot of the higher ranked teams, as regards to last week's power rankings, taking losses. We saw 3rd to 5th last week take losses, and then 6th through to 9th take wins, which is difficult to then turn into this week's power rankings, because you don't want to move people down too much for one loss. You don't want to move people up too much for one win.
Shroom and I have a bit of a rule with each other that we try not to move people more. Like, the absolute maximum we allow to move people is 3, and even then we try not to move that. We try only to move 2 spots at a time.
Yeah.
For most teams. Occasionally someone has to move up or down 3, but we try and stray away from that as much as possible. And with the way that people were winning and losing this week, it was, and the positions they were in, it was really hard to set them up straight. Mainly, you'll notice in the middle of the table is what we're talking about. Starting at number 9, you'll notice.
Yeah,
but the bottom and the very tip top weren't affected much. But the middle section, like the upper middle, it's really weird, and you'll see as I start to tell you now. Anything to say before I do?
Yeah, I mean, other than that, it's pretty much what Chaos said. We'll try and sort of explain a bit of our thought process as briefly as possible whilst going through them. You might disagree with some of the decisions based on people's results, but as I say, it was a difficult one. We'll try and sort of explain what we were thinking. So, yeah, go for it, Chaos. Let us know what the list is.
All right, well, it's really easy off the start because, as we all know, Jedi is holding down his fort that belongs to him in 16th. He's still there. Jack and the Wolverhampton Weaviles remain in 15th. They've moved up one since the start of the season, so they've got that going for them. 14th is Dan and the St. Louis Sableye, or St. Louis Sableye. You've got me saying St. Louis now, and I'm upset because I know you're supposed to say it as St. Louis. That's not the way it's spelt, but if anyone from St. Louis hears me saying Louis, they're going to kill me. He's staying in 14th, again, hasn't moved. Sizz and the word Scissors are still where they are in 13th. Bub and the Munchlaxter United are in 12th still, and now we get to where some of the changes happen. Xenon and the Sublime Salamence have moved down. Is it one? They've only moved down one, I believe. They were 10th,
so, yeah.
and now they're 11th. I think so. I need to start listing how many spaces they moved on this list. But he's in 11th now, and then Rizz has moved up to 10th. I believe he had to have been at 11th because he only moved up one. So Rizz is in 10th, and this is where it gets a little difficult for moving people around, because despite winning this week, Jim and the Meath Mamoswines are in 9th. They've moved down 1 or 2 positions, I believe. I'm not sure entirely how many, but he's in 9th. 8th, again, another winning team has moved down. SS and the St. Louis Chadots have moved down. Still, I think it was 2 positions for both of them.
I think they both moved down
2.
1 position.
Did they?
Yeah, I think they both moved down 1 position.
That's right. We were considering moving SS down 2, but then we moved both of them down 1 instead.
Yeah.
So they both moved down 1 because Quill was in 9th, and we had to move Quill up. That's right. Then we have Sly and the Pittsburgh Pyroars in 7th. He's moved down because he's been letting me down, so I have to bring him down. 6th is Quill and the Juventes, who I believed moved up. This is one of the rare occasions where we move someone up 3 spaces rather than just 2, mainly because Quill is undefeated. I believe, is it just he and Trip are undefeated so far?
I think so, yeah.
So as one of the only undefeated teams, we had to move him up a lot more. Eric has moved down. He's now in 5th, him and the Bristol Bedoofs. Also, Quill was the Juventes. I don't think I said his name. I like to say it because I can actually pronounce it correctly, and he applauds me for that. Mono and the Tampa Bay Lux Rays have moved up to 4th position. They moved up, I believe, 2 slots, if I'm not mistaken. I believe 2. Here's the last weird one. Alex and the AS Monferno, if I can say the word of Monferno, are still in 3rd. They haven't moved because Mono has taken a loss, and we didn't think that he should be moved up 3 spaces. So because of that, it kind of just resulted in Alex not moving down at all because we didn't have anywhere to bring him down effectively without messing up the others. So he got to stay where he was through the grace of bad positioning. So congratulations, Alex. And then the top 2 are unchanged. Sky and the Gothenburg Garchomps are still 2nd, and Trip, undefeated Dallas Staravia, is in 1st.
Yeah, it was a tough one this week, and I do apologize to Jim and to Baby Eye. It seems unfair, I know it does. But it was just a case of, Quill. We couldn't leave Quill sort of down in 9th when he's sitting at 3-0. It seems unfair, and it is unfair to move down winners. But we do hope you understand that it did have to be done. Just try and balance out the table as much as we could.
In our defense, SS and Jim are like really bad at the game, so I don't feel too bad about it. So it's not that bad. It's not like we moved Sky or Trip down for winning. Like, people that are actually good at the game.
Wow,
so I think it's
okay. Really taking this bad cop thing seriously.
I feel like you've been too nice today, so I'm trying to balance it out a bit.
Yeah.
That's why, honestly, why am I here other than to make everyone feel like garbage? That's why I was brought on. But anyways.
Yeah. But yeah, we do apologize to Jim and Baby Eye. It seems unfair, but we hope you understand that it was just to try and balance out the table in a difficult time for wins and losses. And Alex, watch yourself.
As soon as you lose, you're going down 7 slots, man.
You're moving down to just above Jedi.
Down. SS and Jim, should you win again, so, a little extra incentive to win this week. I think they've actually already played by the time they get to watch this. But a little incentive to hope that you did win is that we'll be a lot more inclined to move you more spaces than you normally would for a win to make up for it. It depends on how the other people play as well.
Yeah, you scratch our back, we scratch yours.
That's actually something that, you kind of have to, I don't think people really realize that you have to take into account at power rankings. It's not just the single person. You have to take into account everyone else around them.
Yeah, and it becomes difficult.
Yeah, even if someone does incredibly well, if someone else did well as well or, didn't do as badly, then it's harder to move them around.
Yeah.
But anyways, we need to wrap this up. Is there anything else you'd like to close with?
Not particularly. As Chaos said, we should wrap things up. We've rambled on for a little bit, and there were some technical difficulties as well, which we hope haven't affected things too much. But we are going to wrap up. So thank you all very much for watching. We do hope you've enjoyed. Stay tuned on the channel for the playlists going up for the Week 4 games. That will be happening probably sometime this weekend. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And, of course, all the other analytical videos with the rest of our wonderful analysts. So keep your eyes peeled for those. They'll be going up as regularly as they do. Hopefully, at some point, we'll be able to see a return of the Smack Talk section. We didn't have one last week because Chaos wasn't here, and I can't do it without him.
We can record it like right now.
We probably
so
can.
we'll have one. We'll have one this week. You can look forward to it.
We shall, and it will be a bumper episode. So there's always that to look forward to. But we are going to get out of here. Chaos, any final thoughts to add?
Goodbye.
There it is. Thanks for watching, and we will see you another time, TBU fans. So take care and goodbye.
Farewell.